Hi, I'm Allie and we are in the Spirit Annex. I am here with Mama Donna Hennas for more on psychic vampires. Now we're going to explore how to protect our space, whether at home or at work. Welcome back, Mama Donna.
Good to be here.
So tell us a little bit more about how to repel all that negativity.
Well, I will.
Thank you.
I've got a lot to offer. First, I want to ask you all a question. Is your home your castle? Is your home your sanctuary? Is your home your refuge? And if it isn't, why isn't it? And the same thing goes for your office, your workspace, your car, all the space where you spend time. We need to make sure is safe and protected so that you can be your best self. So your energy is high and clear and centered and balanced. Your home needs to be the place where you return and you can relax and you can be your true self, and you don't have to worry about making impressions or about protecting yourself ideally. But sometimes our home isn't feeling that way. Sometimes you move into a new space and it just doesn't feel good to you. One of my spirit counseling clients just called me. She moved into a new space and it's really pretty and it's nice, and she just can't get comfortable there. And she needs to protect her space. She needs to clear the space and to protect the space. We all do. We all do. So last time we did talk about how to protect yourself as you're out and about, out in the greater world. Now let's really concentrate on how to protect yourself when you're home, when you should feel the most safe that you ever feel. So the first thing, I mentioned in the first class actually protecting your openings when I talked about my nail polish, protecting the openings to my boundary. Well, your house has a much bigger boundary, but the doors and the windows are the vulnerable places in your home. That's where energy comes in, and I'm talking about psychic energy now. I'm not talking about anybody literally coming into your house, I hope. This is, the windows and the doors are openings, and these need to be protected. In the last class, I mentioned red flowers on your windowsill. That's a really good thing to do. Red flowers, geraniums. Geraniums are great. They're a great house plant. You can't kill a geranium. So anybody can grow a geranium. And they are really good because their flowers are red and fiery, and that red fiery energy in your open space is telling you, whoa, I'm safe now. I've got my spirit protectors out there watching my back, watching my sides, watching my openings. Another good thing that you can use to protect your home is bluing. These are little blue balls, and these are natural minerals. If you think about laundry detergent that you use that's white powder and it has little blue fleckles in it, that's this stuff. Bluing, as far as I can tell, is the most universal spiritual tool used in the world. In Morocco, in Egypt, in parts of the Middle East, in parts of North Africa, large parts, every door and every window is surrounded with this bluing. When you wet it, it turns in to kind of a paint. You can make magic symbols by the sides of your door, your window, or what I do in my spirit center, Mama Donna's Tea Garden and Healing Haven. I don't want anything in there that is not totally positive and fantastic. I wet this and I painted a line along the threshold of the door. I literally drew the line. I draw the line at negativity. Nothing negative can cross this line. It's a great thing to do. You can also drop this in a glass of water or a bowl of water and leave it by your window. And what it does when it's in the water it absorbs any negativity in your space. So on the one hand, it protects you by guarding against anything negative coming in, and if anything does come in or has already been in there, it can protect you by absorbing it and neutralizing it. It's a really good thing to do. Another thing that is related, although it's from a totally different culture, this is from China. These are called magic eggs. And they're beautiful translucent glass that kind of changes colors from yellow to blue. If you keep this in a bowl of water also, it will absorb the negative energy in your home. My favorite thing is called a Rose of Jericho. This is what it looks like. It's not too pretty. It's a plant. It's called a perpetual plant. And right now it's in the dormant stage. So it's all closed up and dry. It looks dead. At the bottom you see there are little roots. When you put this in a bowl of water, it opens up. And it's quite beautiful. And it smells divine. It's not floral. It's not sweet, it's not spicy, but it's clean. It smells like the forest after it rains, and that's because it's very strong with negative ions, which absorbs negative energy. So this is fantastic, and I'm going to tell you how to use it. You put it in a bowl of water, not in a huge tub of water. You don't want to drown it. Just a small bowl of water. Fill the bowl with water. The water will eventually evaporate on its own. Let it do that. And as it starts to dry, it starts to curl back up on itself until it looks like this. And when it does that, what it's doing here, it's absorbing the negative energy. Then it shuts up over it and it digests the negative energy. So I always think of this as like a spiritual Venus flytrap that just attracts the negative energy, absorbs it, swallows it, digests it, and it is no more. The magic thing about this plant is that once it's dry, and you've got to let it get really dry again because it is a desert plant and you don't want to put too much water or keep watering it or it'll get moldy. When it's really dry again, put it in the water again, it opens up again. This very Rose of Jericho has been on my altar opening and closing for 9 years. It is a perpetual plant. Another great thing about this is you can take this with you when you travel. When you get to a motel room, most of us don't like smoking rooms because they really don't smell good. So you can't light anything or smudge it. So you put this in an ashtray or a little cup of water. It opens up and it sucks out all that negative energy. Who's been in that room before you? There's no way to tell. What's gone on in that space? There's no way to tell. But to be safe, you want to protect yourself. So this is clean, it's easy, there's no smoke, you're not going to set off the alarms, they're not going to come running in and charging you this huge fee for smoking in a non-smoking room. Put it in water. When you're ready to leave, take it out, put it in a Ziploc bag, and go. It's wonderful. But there are a lot of herbs that you can burn. And you'd want to have a little burning receptacle. This is a little cauldron. But there are certain kinds of terracotta bowls. If you have a bowl, make sure it has legs on it, because that diffuses the heat. I've learned the hard way. You don't want to put a terracotta bowl with something hot in it on a wooden table or on a cloth, because you will start a fire. I promise. I've done it. So don't do that. You can also burn things in a shell. An abalone shell is a wonderful thing, and they're really beautiful. I'm sure you all know what those look like. Or none of the above. Use a Pyrex dish or any oven-safe dish or pot or pan to burn things in. So these are all smudge. Smudge just means a burnt herb. So when it's interesting because it's like you're blessing 3 elements at once. You're adding fire, and I'm not going to burn anything in this studio because I'm not supposed to, but I want to show you what it looks like. If you add fire to something of the earth, you're creating fragrant air. That's the three of the four elements. And fragrant air, folks, is called holy smoke. So you want to create holy smoke in your space. What sage does, this is the most common one. Most people are familiar with sage. And what this does is it clears, it purifies, it cleanses any negative energy. But it's not the only thing that does that. This is cedar. Cedar is from a pine tree. It smells lovely. It smells like a cedar chest. Smells like the winter holidays. The same thing. Now, a lot of people burn the edge of their smudge stick, set it on fire, blow it out, and use the smoke. I would counsel against that. First of all, it's very wasteful. Second of all, if you're inside, it creates sparks and ash, and you don't want to burn your furniture or your rugs. Again, I've done this, I know. So the best thing to do is just break some of it off into your burning vessel and burn it that way. And it'll last much longer. You'll have it for a longer time. Another great herb to burn is juniper. Now, juniper is related to cedar, but it's a very different plant, but it's also an evergreen. Juniper has the added benefit, not only is it a cleanser and a purifier, it is a protector. So on every level, burning juniper is a really good way to rid your house of all those psychic vampires. And in the last class, somebody asked that question. Does a psychic vampire have to be a person, or can it be a spirit? It can definitely be a spirit. So you want to protect yourself from that. Another good thing to burn is copal. Now, this is not the thing you burn. This is a wonderful, traditional, indigenous wrapping that is not plastic and is not cardboard, but in here are a bunch of little pieces of copal. And copal is a resin, a tree sap. And this is the holy incense of the Mayans and the Aztecs. And it has the same properties. It cleanses, it purifies, but it also uplifts the energy in the space. So that's a really good thing to use. Another thing to burn is frankincense. Most people have heard about frankincense. Some people have smelled it in church. Frankincense is also a tree sap. It's a resin. You burn it, and it's a great purifier for anything negative. And it smells really sweet. So it's kind of a sharp sweetness, and you can almost visualize it just cutting through any negative energy. Just slices it like a knife. It's great. So you might want to have, well, actually, let me say, once you have cleansed your space, one last thing to burn, this is sweetgrass. Once your space is clean, you'll want to burn sweetgrass because that invites in the sweet spirits. That way, not only are you ridding yourself of anything negative, you're filling that vacuum with everything positive. Another good thing to do is to create an altar in your home. And an altar has no rules. It can be any way you want. It can be on your bedroom bureau. It can be on your desk. It can be a separate table or space. It can be in your kitchen. It can be anywhere you want. And there you want to use, you can use a lot of the same amulets and charms that we talked about in the last class. On your altar, you might want to have a crystal, because what crystal does is focuses energy. And once your space is clear, you want to focus positive energy. You might want to have these various protective things that we talked about, a sharp thorn or an arrowhead. You might want to have an uña de gato, a cat claw protection. Or you might want to have a rattlesnake rattle. Or you might want to have a bear claw. Now, I want to assure everybody that I get all of these animal products from indigenous peoples who would never kill a bear just for the claw. Traditional people use everything but the growl. And the claws are not edible and they're not used for tools, but they are used for protective amulets. These are all things that you keep on your altar. One other really good thing to have is camphor. Now camphor, this particular camphor is from India. In India, people burn their camphor. In China, people put it in water, just like we were going to put in the magic egg or the blue ball. But what's really good is people in the Caribbean, I'm going to open this, and inside there are tiny little white tablets. They look like chiclets, or little pezzes, actually. They're just like this. And a lot of people have white walls. And in the Caribbean, what people do is they use this dry, and they put it along the baseboards of their houses, in their car, and in your office. Nobody will ever see them. But what it does is absorb negative energy. Now, let's say you're having a party. You're inviting only the people you love to this party, but everybody has stuff. And we all have enough stuff of our own. We don't want anybody else's stuff. So if you put the camphor under the cushions of your couch, under the cushions of the chair, under the tables, again, where nobody sees them, it absorbs any energy that you don't want in your space. Now, what if there's somebody in your space that you'd love to get rid of? Let's say a problematic roommate. This works really well. This is called black salt, and it's just big hunks of black salt. This you use dry, and you put it somewhere where that person would be. You don't want to walk into their room or invade their space. If we're trying to be protective against psychic vampires, you don't want to be one. So outside of their door, or in the shared bathroom, or under a chair that they always sit in the living room, you might put some of this. And I'll tell you, it really works. I've heard two amazing stories just recently. One was a woman who was not getting along with her roommate and really wanted her to move, but couldn't tell her to move, and her lease wasn't up. She put a bowl of this outside the woman's door, hidden under a bureau. And after about 3 days, the woman came out and she said, you know, I think I'm going to look for another apartment. So it worked beautifully for her. And another woman told me, she's in her mid-40s, and because of various troubles in her life, she was forced to move back home with her father. And this was not an easy kind of relationship, and it was really a problem. And she ended up having to sort of be his servant, which she really objected to. She put some of this under his Barcalounger, and she came home one day, and he was vacuuming. And she couldn't believe it. She said he had never vacuumed ever in her whole 45 years of knowing him. But he felt something, he just felt something was there and was trying to get rid of it. And from then on, he was nicer to her. So this is a good thing to do too. And let's say you're in an office. Let's say you work in a corporate environment. You're not going to be able to burn these herbs or have crystals around. People will not take it well, usually. But the Rose of Jericho is perfect. You have this in a beautiful bowl on your desk, and people will come by and they'll say, oh, isn't that a beautiful plant? And all you have to do is say, yeah, isn't that nice? They don't know it's them that you're trying to purify yourself against. So this works really well in a work environment. Another thing you can do in a work environment is to create an altar in a desk drawer. Hopefully nobody else is in your desk drawer. You just have some little items in there that are protective for you. And again, just because I gave you all these suggestions doesn't mean that that amazing rock that you picked up the last time you were at the Grand Canyon doesn't have a feeling of power and protection to you. If you have something like that, use that. We all have special items that have special healing, protective, curative powers, and we want to employ them to help us. So keep these things in your desk, and whenever you need to, open your desk drawer, just look in, and feed yourself with the power from those things. I'm going to give you one more suggestion, especially at work. If you feel that people are really draining you, draining your solar plexus, draining your energy and your power, you can do this. This is a hanky. This particular one has little red hearts on it, is nice. You put this handkerchief under your underwear, between that and your skin. It covers your solar plexus, and it's this thin film of protection for you when you're in an environment that doesn't feel safe for you. So again, I want to suggest that you don't necessarily listen to me. Listen to yourself. Always listen to yourself. You might want to have a candle. You can burn a black candle to rid yourself of negativity. You might want to have a red candle to empower you. You might want to have a white candle to instigate a new energy, or a blue candle to calm you down. Now, every book you ever read is going to say blue is a very calming color. But what if you were in a car accident, goddess forbid, wearing a blue shirt? It's not going to be calming for you. So maybe yellow is your favorite color and makes you feel great. Burn a yellow candle. Ignore the book. Ignore the teachers. Ignore me. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. If it feels right, do it. I always say, if the phone rings, answer it. It's for you. It's a message for you. I want to tell you one thing that you can get information about all of these items, about healing, protection, sanctuary, and safety from my website. Just go to www.donna, D-O-N-N-A, Hennes, H-E-N-E-S.net. I'll be there.
Thank you so much. And
You're
before people check
welcome.
out your website, we have a couple questions from
Excellent.
online participants. Would you
Good.
mind answering them
Sure.
for them? Okay, we have, I think this might be a black salt situation, but
Okay.
Kitty Cat 999 is desperate and wants to know, my next door neighbor keeps dropping by with too much drama, and I don't want to be involved. What can I do? Because she's not in her apartment, so
Right,
can we do black
right,
salt?
right.
What would you suggest?
I would suggest black salt. And you know, when I said to draw the line on your threshold, she might come in, but you don't want her stuff.
Oh, I see. So you do it, would you do black salt in your own apartment?
No, I do it in the hallway that connects us.
Craftily. And then you would do the blue line in your own apartment.
Exactly.
Don't come past this with your drama.
Exactly.
Kitty Cat 999. Oh, here's one from Nancy Ryder. She wants to know, how can I do my own house blessing? Like, would she just pick one of these things, or would she do everything she can to do her own house blessing?
Oh, honey, that's a whole other
Question,
class.
yeah. If she could do
But
one
yes,
thing to bless
I
her
would
home.
smudge. I would smudge out any negativity and
Okay.
invite in any
Sweetgrass.
positivity. Yes.
And then let's do Megan Be Happy. She has a question. She wants to know about the charms and amulets. What can she use to protect herself with a charm or an amulet? Are those the same thing? A charm
Yes,
and amulet?
they're the
Okay.
same thing. Yes.
So is that just like a something pretty, like the turquoise you were talking about?
Turquoise is great for protection. Any of these things that I talked about, the bear claw, or the uña de gato, or the blue ball, or the arrowhead, all these things are for protection. They're all small enough that you can stick in your purse or your pocket or your amulet bag.
Since all of us have, I need to get an amulet bag, by the way.
Yeah, you do.
So before you go, thank you so much.
You're
We've had so much
welcome.
fun, and I've learned so much. Before you go, what is one thing that we should all do every day to protect our space? Just one thing.
I would go with the self-blessing.
Yeah?
You know, bless yourself. I am entitled to live in a house that is safe and is warm and is comforting. That's my right.